Ciao, amici miei, my friends, and welcome to Bustthenet. Yes, thank you very much for joining me. I want to thank everybody too for subscribing to the channel. I want to thank all my friends who've been publicizing this channel as well across Twitter, I don't know, community, blogs, whatever, fan sites. Thank you very much. I mean, we've gone from 1,003 to 5,000 subscribers. Holy crap, in less than a year. That's a lot of subs. And I know, I mean, I'm just glad that more people are coming on board, and we've got more patrons as well, so thanks to them as well. I mean, we've been doing lots of shows lately. I've been doing this Getting Started series, which is generally a whole new series that has been driven largely by people who've been watching my shows. They've been suggesting to me that maybe I should do these starter guides for people who want to pick up certain clubs, and that's what I'm doing right now. And I haven't actually started my own personal save yet. So yeah, I'm having fun though. These new clubs, some of them are really cool. So I want to thank everybody for supporting the channel. You make it possible for these kind of shows to happen for the rest of the community. And without all of you, yep, it wouldn't be happening. But never mind. I'm happy. I'm very happy. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yes, 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 you can tell. My wife is asleep. I can't just jump up and down, but I would. And now on today's show, we are going to the Serie A. Yes, I have not been to the Serie A. I missed the Serie A. Fantastic league. Got really, really... there's a lot of history in the Serie A. Lazio is one of those clubs that's got fantastic history. And we are doing a Getting Started with Lazio. And Lazio are going to be a challenging club to take because they have a history behind them that you're going to be, you're going to find, if you can get caught up in the history, it's kind of cool. They haven't won the Serie A in a while. They've won it twice before. They won the European Cup Winners' Cup. They've won the Super Cup. They've never won the European Cup itself. Italian Cup 6 times winners and Italian Serie A B. They do okay. They have history on their side, and they of course have one of my favorite players in the Serie A. His name Ciro Immobile. When I managed Torino last year, he never failed to score in any single game against me. Every time I faced Lazio, he scored, and it was very annoying. I mean, I think we had a 3-2 game, and we lost to Lazio. Ciro Immobile scored all 3 goals. I couldn't stop him. He's just that devastating. So he's a very, very, very exciting player, and is somebody that you want to look out for. Anyway, so as part of the Getting Started 2 series, let's just begin. I'm gonna go through this show in a format that should take get people ready for at least 2 seasons. That's my goal. So we're gonna analyze the squad. Then we're gonna talk about the future of the squad. Then we're going to talk about how you should set up your scouting. Finally, we'll take it to the tactics, and then we will try and analyze how they play in real life. Now, once again, I'm not trying to replicate anybody. I'm taking elements from what they do in real life. So these are not replications. If you watch the Liverpool one where I did the Getting Started with Liverpool, you notice that I'm not really replicating them 100%. If I do, then we should be losing a lot more games. Okay, so let's just try and get elements into it so that we can make solid tactics, because we want to have fun, right? So that's the whole goal. All right, so first things first, let's look at the squad. Now I've got a couple of views that I have included here. Now if people are wondering how do I get my views, I've already put them up on the Steam Workshop. The link is in the description. What you do is you're going to see this kind of things like, they're all in Steam. Once you click and subscribe to the view in the Steam Workshop, it'll pop up in your game. Then what you need to do is you need to import them, load them, and they should appear in your game. So let's take a look at the first thing. Okay, first things first, since the training screen is up, you want to make sure that in pre-season, you set up your training. So it doesn't really matter, balance, fitness. Seriously, just go balance if you want to, unless you're hardcore psycho like me, and you want to do all this little stuff here, you can. But remember that you need to balance it out. You need to be thinking about how they impact your injuries as well. Fitness will tend to impact injuries a bit more than maybe tactical will. Why? Because of the nature of the training program. So what we want to do is we want to remember that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lead to attribute development. No attribute development. Over on this side, we got match tactics. You want to do this in preseason. 1, 2, 3, 4 give you short-term bonuses in games. This does not, and this does not. So okay, these are things that we want to, more or less these are the ones I would focus when the season starts. I never do teamwork after preseason. If I do, even in preseason, it's only because I've signed like maybe 5-6 players and I really want to get their teamwork up. Other than that, it's usually most of the time match tactics. So for the training for Lazio, which generally follows most of my teams, this is why I do rest day after match, as it's something I do all the time. If I have 2 games a season, I either adjust intensity for individual players who might be seeing very heavy or are susceptible. So this is what I do. I go into this. I have a view that is set up over here for my entire squad. Now, if you notice one thing, this is my training view. My training view is very, very comprehensive. I have the age of the players. I know what their positions are. Most importantly, I know the squad status because this affects dynamics. I also track how many games they've been playing over a season. I have their individual workloads here. So if I see that their workload is heavy, then let's look at Lucas Leiva, for example. He is a bit on the old side. He's getting a bit on 30 years old. So actually his intensity, I've set it to light. I don't want him to go overboard, so I've adjusted his intensity to light. Now, whenever you give them additional focus training, this intensity will increase. You need to actually hit the continue button to see it. You won't see it immediately. Then we got training happiness. Injury susceptibility is very important now for me because I want to know which are the jokers in my team who are going to be likely to break legs a lot. So I monitor their training, and I also watch them in games. If their conditioning drops a lot, then I'm proactive in taking them off. Tactical familiarity is also available. Now you will know how your players are doing in terms of learning a system. Not too bad, kind of fun to have, but I don't really care very much. But thought you guys might like it. Nice little green bars on your screen. Personality, of course, influences my decisions on whether or not to get them tutored. Okay, so this is essentially it. Now let's take a look at the other elements of the squad. Now, when we're looking at a team, we want to do an analysis, and I always do this for all my teams. I analyze how my players are defensively in terms of positioning. It's very, very importante, and it's something I recommend you do. If I'm looking at my team, I notice one thing. The defenders all have decent positioning, but how do they compare to the rest of the league? This is something that you need to do. Okay, when we look at the defenders and we look at their positioning, it's 12.83, below average. Some people in the game have approached me and they follow the average, and I'm going like, that's a big mistake. You don't follow the average. If you want to be the best team in the land, you aim to better best. That's what you should do, because this is an average of the whole squad. Your best players are only 11 or 12 or 13, but if you include the whole squad, your average is gonna inflate. So this is something that you need to understand. So what do I compare positioning to? I always compare positioning to strikers or midfielders off the ball. So the strikers, midfielders off the ball in this area is about 16. My defenders' positioning is only 12.83. So positioning is versus off the ball. Why? A player attacking my box, if he's got very good off the ball, he's going to find himself in good positions most of the time to receive the ball. And I want my defenders to have good positional awareness to follow them. So it makes sense that two attributes mirror each other. So you want to be tracking stuff like this in the game to understand your own players. So that's why I do positioning not that good for my 3 boys. So what do? We have to make sure that players like Lucas Leiva play. And this explains why Lazio went and purchased Lucas Leiva from Liverpool. He is by far the best. He's the most intelligent defensive midfielder Lazio have. It's almost a given that he has to play in every single game. He's an anchor in front of the 3. He's got good concentration, anticipation, and the only thing that lacking for him is poor acceleration. So this affects the way we play. If we play a high line, we could be caught out. Something that we have to bear in mind. Now, what about the rest of the defenders? Positioning, anticipation, concentration. Concentration not that good. That's why we have to play with a DM. Or at least play with Lucas Leiva in the team. Determination, bravery, acceleration. Then we look at jumping reach. Now, if you look at our defenders alone, we've got 3 defenders here. We've got the Reach, Radu, and Basta. Right? Basta is not really a defender. He's more like a wide right. We've got Bastos. Yes, Bastos. So if I just look at the 3 central defenders and I look at jumping reach, Wallace, the Reach have got the best jumping reach. Wallace has got poor concentration. So when you're playing with Bastos, you have to realize that Bastos starts most of the games. They got the reach, and then finally we got Radu. Radu is the weakest of the three, but this is your best team. Wallace, whenever you play Wallace, you remember that his concentration is 11, but his jumping reach is one of the best. So in certain games, you're gonna decide if you're playing against a team that's got very good who have got very good got players who are very good in the air, then you may need to play Wallace. But Wallace's concentration is poor, so it's like a trade-off. You got to be aware of what he's bringing to the table and understand and incorporate that into your tactic, and then make sure that the play in front of Wallace is a bit more. He's likely to come back and help him out, which is why Lucas Leiva is so important to decide. All right. What about the wingbacks? Now, the wingbacks is the first problem area for this team. And the reason why I mentioned it a problem area is not because they're bad. It's because the future doesn't look bright for them. We've got a few veterans in this team. Senad Lulic, very important player. Wide left, fantastic player for this team. 31 years old, he's the best player they have on the left, which gives us another issue. In the future, we need to find replacements for Senad Lulic. So this is your scouting. You gotta go into your scouting and start looking for a player that can play this position for the next 3 seasons. So you gotta go out there and look for somebody. The youngster they have here, Luka Kreko, he's okay, but look at his tackling. So here when we bring this guy, we know this guy is playing in our team. The first thing you're gonna do with him is training and development. He may be playing as an ML, training as an ML. I'll just train him as a wingback, and I'll focus on these attributes that we need to get him to work on. Then we've got other players like Patrick as well. His tackling is only 12. He's a youngster that can play on the left and on the right. As you can see, his preferred foot is the right, so you may want to play him on the right more than on the left. But he's got a long way to go before he becomes any good at taking over some of the other players, the positions of some of the other players. Because on the right we have Dusan Basta. He's a definite starter. By the age of 32 years old, you got to think about the future with Dusan Basta as well. One of the strategies I use in this area is to develop young players and sell them off to English clubs. I do that a lot. Makes a lot of money. But I think in FM18 we got to be careful. I think there are some little issues with the transfer values, but I think they should be fixed very soon. So meanwhile, what you want to do is you want to be looking for a right back. You can play Patrick. You have to develop him. You got to play him. And you got to play Lukaku. These are two players you're going to have to play and develop them. Otherwise, you're going to have to think about maybe getting another player in who's a youngster who's got potential for the future. We got another player here called Adam Marusic. So you've got quite a few players in this team. And how you're going to integrate them is going to be very, very challenging. I would still play with the main players, but I would put Marusic on loan, if possible, or think of the future where I'm going to sell him off because he's already 24. If it was me, I probably wouldn't be using him. I'll probably be depending on these two, Patrick and Jordan Lukaku, as the future for my team. When it comes to this other player, Luka Kreko, now if he doesn't develop well, he doesn't get his tackling up, he's also out. So you want to be thinking about developing these players or setting them out on loan. Then we have the defensive midfielders. Now, when I'm looking at defensive midfielders, I use a different view. I use the support view. Why? Because I need to know if they're good positionally, in positioning and off the ball. Very important because if they're going to lend support in attack, they need off the ball. If they're going to be focused on defending, then they need positioning first. So this team, we got a pretty solid team. Then we got players like Alessandro Murgia. Sounds like he's got Indian blood in him. Okay, Mr. Murgia. Okay, so what I've done with him is I've given him a focus training program, ball winning midfielder. So just focuses on these attributes and told him to focus on passing as well. So some players you're going to have to start thinking about how you're going to develop them in the long term. And I'm very focused about how I train my players because I want them playing in a specific way in my system. So this is something that you should be looking at. And when we come to the players, you got quite a solid group. Marco Parolo, very solid. I mean, he's good. Only thing is, he may not always going to challenge. He's challenging his job. The challenge here is using him. Because if I'm going to use him, I need him as a ball-winning midfielder in my team. And this is something, I mean, most people will be thinking box-to-box midfielder because he's got very good off the ball. So he actually can attack very well. So this is something that you want to be thinking about this player. What kind of roles can he play? He gets into opposition areas, moves into channels, gets forward whenever possible, dives into tackles, and tries first-time shots. So when I go into the system, Parolo can either be a box-to-box midfielder, or in this particular case, I may even think of asking him to be a ball-winning midfielder on support. He does dive into tackles, which is a bit of a risky thing to do. But this is something that I've been looking at in this position, because we want to create a tactic which can punch through and try and attack teams. So we need somebody to help Savic, who's going to be able to Mazala in our system. There are several systems that we're looking at, but let us finish off our analysis of the team by looking finally at the group that's leading the attack. In attack, we have Ciro Immobile, the one and only, who's got fantastic off the ball. Acceleration is not that fantastic, but he's definitely a threat in front of the goal. And we've got Luis Alberto, who's been playing as a attacking midfielder, playmaker that sits behind Ciro Immobile in the current system. And then we have other players like Philip Caicedo. He's not too bad. He's probably at the age of 28 years old, an Ecuadorian that's half a decent cover for Ciro Immobile. This gives us another issue with the Lazio team. Lazio team for the future has issues. Apart from Ciro Immobile, your strikers, not too many. You got Tunkara, 21 years old, not that good. Palombi, okay, not half bad. If you really want him to develop over time, he's got to play a lot of games. I don't think you can afford that. So you're going to have to put him on loan, or he has got to get a lot of games. Then we got Antonio Rozzi, basically no use in this team. Sell him off, list him. Good move to list him. And then you got Nani, the former United player. Now on loan from Valencia. Also another average player. So there's a lot of things this team needs, and then one of them is you got to look for somebody who's a second striker who can play as a deep line, who can play as an attacking playmaker coming in from deep. These are things that Lazio needs, and scouting is going to become very important. One of the things that is going to hold you back when you start with Lazio is once we have identified the challenges with the Lazio team, we also discovered there's another challenge in terms of the scouting department. Lazio's scouting department is very, very weak. You need to get a chief scout in. You need to get data analysts in, because you're going to have to use them for your reports as well. So one of the things you're going to have to do in this game with Lazio is immediately go and look for a chief scout and at least a few scouts. Why? Because when you go to the scouting options, when you want to go and scout, your short-term focuses are going to be a function of how many scouts you have in your recruitment team. If you only have one guy free or two guys free running around, that's about it. Lazio typically play with something that looks like a 3-6-1 or a 3-5-2. The thing about Lazio's system that we have to try and understand is the way they set up their whole system. They've got Lucas Leiva sitting in front of a three-man backline and generally have as many as 5 players in midfield. It's either Nani or Luis Alberto who's sitting behind Immobile, and they've got four players in midfield with Lukaku, Savic, Parolo, or Patrick. These are the players or Lulic and Bastas on the right. So these are the players that typically start in some of the matches for Lazio. The challenge really lies in how we are able to do this in FM. When Lazio play against tougher competition, sometimes they actually close down in only their own half, and you will sometimes see Lazio dropping a bit deep and allowing the opposition to bring the ball into their half before they start closing down. So it's not uncommon to see the Lazio players defending pretty deep in their own half. But one thing that we know about Lazio is the way they try to move their ball quickly up once they come out of the defensive transition. They like to move the ball up through the transitions rather quickly. And Luis Alberto, well, he tends to drop fairly deep to support midfield, and you can occasionally see him playing through balls up for Ciro Immobile. This suggests that there's a lot of support that goes from midfield into attack as well, with players like Parolo and Savic making roads into central midfield or attacking midfield, and Bastas attacking from the right. When it comes to Lazio in real life, it's a very, very challenging proposition to say that you can replicate their tactics, because I will tell you right out the gate, I can't. I can try my best to come close to the spirit, but I can't go around replicating them. Because this is one team that changes, like, it's crazy the way they change the game. They can go from a 3-5-1-1 to a 3-6-1. They can go play a 3-1-4 1-1 or 3-4 3-1-4-1-1. Yeah, they played a 3-6-1. They played systems that just keep morphing. So if I'm gonna go out there and say, "Oh, you use this one tactic and it looks like Lazio," I'm talking shit. Ain't no such thing. So Lazio, let's be realistic. This is gonna be a tough team to replicate, but we can get certain results with this team, and I have several ways of playing the system. Now, the goal here would be to create a system of play that allows you to switch, right? So you could be going into a game, you could want to play on a normal setting, and then you want to try and see whether you can push for goals, and then what if you wanted to lock things down, right? So we want to create that kind of I want to create that kind of a sensation when I'm playing this game. I don't want to like hit one button and go and play and say, hey, this is a replication, because honestly, I've gone with a way of creating tactics in FM18, which gives you options, and I think this is something that most people seem to want. All right, so what we've done is we've created this 3-6-1, which has got 3 central defenders and 6 players in midfield, one out and out focal point in attack, which is basically how Lazio really play. But this is what I call my defensive version of the tactic. I've got the central defenders on stopper duty, do nothing special. The ball playing defender does nothing special. The goalkeeper does something special. He distributes the centre backs and takes short kicks. That's okay. Then we got 2 wing backs. Dribble less, few risky passes, sit narrow, mark specific position. I'll explain why I get them to mark specific position. The guy on the other flank does the same thing. Now, the reason why we're telling them to mark specific position is, other than these 2 players, there isn't really anybody else who's going to be looking out the flanks apart from the Carriero. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that they're in the right position if the AI has the ball and is deciding to switch the flank. If it's going to switch flanks, you could end up with the wingbacks compromised. So I want them to mark a specific position so that they don't get compromised. This is going to help us with systems that play a 4-1-2-2-1 or a 4-2-3-1, basically anything with an AML, AMR. So when they're marking specific position, they're actually marking the AML or AMR positions. Okay, done deal. We set that one up. We got a Carriero who's playing few risky passes, Mazzala on support, with an attacking playmaker on attack in the form of Luis Alberto, closing down more move into channels. Up top, of course, we have the one and only Ciro Immobile, who's playing a complete forward and support. And the whole tactic is played on work ball into box, whip crosses, push high up, prevent short goalkeeper distribution, control and flexible. Now, what about opposition instructions? Now, whenever I go into opposition instructions, there are several ways I'm going to play. Now, the first way I play is I make sure that when I set my opposition instructions, there are times when I'm going to close down the back line, and there are times when I am not going to close down the back line. This is important to understand. If I intend to put this kind of pressure on a back line, it means that I'm committing challenges pretty high up on the pitch. Now, sometimes I want to draw teams in before I do that, and I may opt to, against teams like Juventus, not do this. Instead, I will opt to close them down at the defensive midfield area. So I might go tackle harder on the defensive midfielder, close him down harder on the defensive midfielder, and I'll just allow these players, except for the goalkeeper, I'll put some pressure on the goalkeeper as usual, but I'll let these players play the ball out from the back, because a 4-2, if some AI decides to change to a 4-2-4, this is actually quite risky, because then I'm committing players early, and then I'll leave pockets of space in the middle. So what I want to do is, this is something that I do situationally. Now, I know that it depends on my style of play, but I would set this up as default, but I would watch the games very carefully, and I will make a decision otherwise on whether to do this or not. Now, if I'm playing against, in this tactic here, we've got these 2 positions doing mark specific position. Now, I don't want my whole team to go closing down on AMLs very quickly. This system has been set up in such a way that I rather have the wide players funnel into my middle. So in terms of the opposition instruction here, What I will do on my AML and AMR positions instead is to show on 2 foot. So here, instead of having them tackle hard, I'm actually asking my players to funnel them into the middle where we have the players to handle the threat. So here, they'll be coming this way. We're hoping that they get locked down. And that's the whole goal. In terms of the width of my system, I normally go balanced or fairly narrow. But I want to keep the system as tight as possible. Now, then we have the other version. This other version has got an attacking version where we got CD stopper duty with a ball playing defender on cover. Goalkeeper is doing the same thing. Defensive midfielder, wide midfielder told a few risky passes, mark specific position. Here, the mark specific position again is the AML and AMR. Wingback on defense does the same thing. Got a Carrirello, we got a Mazzala on attack, we got an attacking playmaker, roams, more direct, move into channels with a complete forward. Now, why is this icon over here? It's because I don't always get Luis Alberto into the team. Let's just face it, some of the time this position goes to players like Philippe Anderson. Now, if Philippe Anderson plays in this position, it's going to default into an attacking midfielder on center. But if our friend Luis Alberto plays there, he's an advanced playmaker. Everybody else is just an attacking midfielder. That's what I want to see. So it's easier for me that way, and we keep it tight. In terms of team instructions, work ball into box, push high up, prevent shot, goalkeeper distribution. Now, for this particular system, I'm very careful with my opposition instructions. Here, I will hard tackle AML, AMR instead of showing them onto wrong foot, because here, if I funnel them, I'm in trouble. I could open up pockets of space. They can just get wide. So what we want to do is hard tackle AML, AMR, ML, MR, fullback, left and right. So these are the players that we'll hard tackle. Will not allow them the run of the mill. And then because we got AP on attack here, we'll also hard tackle and close down their DM, so they will put a bit more pressure. This is a more offensive tactic. We're trying to go for goals. I don't know why I use the word offensive. It's not offensive. It's a nice tactic. Finally, this is the biggest challenge with Lazio. Now, Lazio are a team that are not easy to replicate, and sometimes making this 3-5-1-1 or 3-6-1, whatever you want to call that, those tactics, it's going to be hard for you to score goals. So there are going to be times where I default into something that's very familiar territory, playing something that has got two out-and-out strikers, so that we can have transitions that are a bit faster. We got two targets that they can play to. We want one role that can sit and drop deep into central midfield, and that's the DLF. So the backline has still got the same setup, DM. Then we've got the wingbacks doing the same thing. We sit narrow, mark specific position. Again, the AML, MR. Then we've got a Carrirello, few risky pass. So we've got a Mazzala on attack. This one, run wide with ball is something that you have to be very picky with. Sometimes you may not want to. Sometimes you may just want him to stay in the middle, which is not a bad instruction to choose for this Mazzala. Then we got a DLF on support, hold up ball. He's on the same flank as the Mazzala on attack, so we can get some overloading going on this side of the flank. And then up top, we got Ciro Immobile, now playing as a poacher. We don't want him to go drift too far away. We want him to be hanging around the box and creating havoc around there. In terms of team instructions, we play our defense, we'll ball into box, push high up, and prevent short goalkeeper distribution. Opposition instructions here, once again, in this opposition instruction, if I come across an AML, AMR, ML, MR, we show them onto wrong foot. Why? Because now we want them to come this way. So a lot of the times it depends on whether I have where do I want a team to play their game. So that's how I use opposition instructions. Opposition instructions for me are a lot more fun in FM18 because you need to do some intelligent applications to them, and I don't really play with hard and fast rules with them, and it's more what I see in the game and where do I want to apply the pressure, because they are extremely effective in FM18. Well, I hope you enjoyed this edition of the Getting Started with series with Lazio, and you found this useful. If you have any questions, you know, find me on Twitter at Bustthenet or addicted2fm.com, my website. Once again, I'd like to thank all my patrons for the continued support of this channel. You make these kind of shows possible for the rest of the community. You guys take care, have a good one, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.